What's groovy? It's Xavier Lamont. What happened news? Let's go. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing makes me lose respect for so-called actual news media than watching the clown show that is the Republican Party and then watching them treat them as though they're not a fucking clown show. But Xavier, they're all the same. They're all a fucking clown show. Okay, to you, eat a whole penis, okay? For real, they're not all the same. At least let's just give it up for the performative nature of the Democrats to participate in a fashion that just seems to be more pleasing, okay? let's put it up for that.
It's time for the GOP to end the House Republican civil war, get their act together so we can take care of the business of the American people and stand strongly for our allies throughout the world. The inability of House Republicans to get their act together, even when they themselves, by their own rules, have elected a speaker nominee, speaks to the broader chaos and dysfunction and extremism that has characterized the do-nothing Republican Congress from the very beginning.
Like, everything happening with the Republican Party right now is unprecedented. Having a Speaker of the House get fired is unprecedented. It's never happened before, okay? Not being able to get a speaker multiple times and just having the whole House shut down because there's no speaker, never happened before. This is all unprecedented. They can't manage themselves, but they are selling to a group of people, a large enough segment of society, that they have control of the House, that they can run the country. They can't run their caucus. And that's not even talking about the dude that's been arrested that actually led a revolt. That a lot of those people in that same caucus, most of the ones that's causing the trouble, the ones that's trying to block everything, yeah, they helped plan and plot that rebellion. That's part of the reason why they're causing all the trouble. The fact that the news media is going to go back to treating them like they're regular people and interviewing them and not asking them, hey man, is everything okay? I mean, this is the same group of people that wouldn't admit Joe Biden won when he won by an electoral margin that Donald Trump himself called a blowout in 2016 when he won by a similar, if not the same margin. Okay? They wouldn't admit that Joe Biden won for almost a year.
81 million votes is impossible. Joe Biden didn't garner 81 million votes.
He did. It was a free and fair election, and he won.
Well, you can say that a million times. It doesn't make it true.
Well, it's like your election in Arizona. Same thing.
Do you really want to argue about the elections? I'm happy to.
Only that you and Trump both refused to accept the result of Democratic elections. And I say...
Maybe over a year. I can't remember when they first started admitting that he was the president. And even when they do it kind of reluctantly, like, well, yeah, he's the guy in the White House, but, you know, everything was shady. Being concerned or worried that government overreach will mess things up, so then you shoot for just total ineptitude as your response, is an absurd way to play the game, man. It's just absurd. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, government can't do anything, so let's just send this most silly, inept clowns there we can and watch it fail. That's the Republican Party right now, y'all. That's what's running the House of Representatives right now, by your votes. Now, for What Had Happened News reenactment of Republicans currently running Congress. Take it away.
Holy shit. No, this is literally your drive.
He's freaking out right now.
He has to be dead.
Yeah.
Should I move my car?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
There's nothing to make jokes about here. But I do want to point out some stuff that a lot of people might not know about, or might not be picking up on. Initially, there were reports of outrageous atrocities that were committed by Hamas. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you're like, where's all this coming from? Here's a clip by somebody who put together something way better than I could. Donnie Wright, take it away, my man.
The root cause of what we see today is the continuation of Israeli illegal occupation of Palestinian land. The fact that the West Bank is still occupied after 56 years, and becoming the longest occupation in modern history, an occupation that has transformed into a system of apartheid.
I watched the press conference between Secretary of State Blinken and Netanyahu.
Tony, my friend, there will be many difficult days ahead, but I have no doubt
that the forces of civilization will win.
And because I've learned enough to read behind what is being said, because I've learned about the history of colonialism and how it works and functions and what decolonization looks like, because I've read colonial documents, I better understand now.
They're manufacturing your consent for a mass annihilation of the Palestinian people in your face. And they're doing so in a way that makes you feel patriotic. It is done in a way that seems reasonable. Because the same thing that happened during 9/11, when folks still were in opposition to the war in Iraq, when folks were in opposition to military occupation by the US and intervention in the Middle East, they were considered anti-patriotic and most importantly, anti-humanitarian. And folks are using very similar language now, where if you do not show support for the settler occupying state that is Israel, if you do not show support for colonialism and imperialism, then you are on the side of anti-humanity. You're on the side of barbarism. You're on the side of terror. That is on purpose. It is by design, and it's something you need to be actively combating at every turn.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists. Either you're with us, either you love freedom and with nations which embrace freedom, or you're with the enemy.
The United States has Israel's back.
As the U.S. explicitly collaborated with the South African apartheid government, it supported and continues to support the Israeli occupation of Palestine, currently in the form of over $8.5 million a day in military aid. The occupation would not be possible without the collaboration of the U.S. government.
I know for a fact that Western media wants you to think that because you support the liberation of Palestine and the Palestinian people, that if you support the Palestinians getting their land back, that if you condemn the Israeli nation-state settler colonialism, that means that you're anti-Jewish.
Being anti-Zionist and being anti-Semitic are two very, very unrelated things. You can vehemently oppose Israel, Israeli government, Zionism, and not hate Jewish people, in case you didn't know. But Zionists have worked long and hard to intertwine the two, Judaism and Israel, because it works in their favor.
I know this because I've learned from Jewish people on this platform who are anti-Zionist. I know they want us to conflate Palestinians and Hamas. I know they're using the labeling of Hamas to continue the slaughter of Palestinian people.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם.
Millions of civilians now are being bombed, mosques being destroyed and leveled, families and children slaughtered, and this has been happening to them for nearly 60 years. But Prime Minister Netanyahu wants you to believe that they're the savages, and he wants to use colonial language to do so.
And thank you to the American people for your incredible support for Israel. In our war against the barbarians of Hamas, Hamas has shown itself to be an enemy of civilization. We will exact a price that will be remembered by them and Israel's other enemies for decades to come. The savage attacks that Hamas perpetrated against innocent Israelis are mind-boggling. They are savages.
When you label a people savage, barbaric, less than human, you mentally condition people to accept their slaughter without question. Who cries for the Palestinian women and children that have been slaughtered since 1948? Who cries when Palestinian villages get bombed and raided? Who mourns over their families and their children? Who cries for them? Who cries for the land of the Palestinians, the villages destroyed, to not only drive them out, but to prevent them from coming home ever again?
A lot of them lock their doors, put their key in their pocket, and then move to safer ground. When you leave the house and you take your key with you, it's because you're planning to go home. In the case of the Palestinians, those refugees weren't allowed to return.
Refugees trying to return were often shot at. Zionist paramilitary operations also tried to prevent them from returning again by destroying the villages.
And now we have U.S. political leaders calling for their extermination.
And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. You know Iran's behind it. Finish them.
We're in a religious war here. I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
Hold the nuance of this thing. The land, the homes of people were taken from them. This is exactly what happened to the indigenous in the Americas. The place that I call home now once belonged to the Potawatomi, among other indigenous American tribes. This is a repeated history. This is what colonialism looks like. And the supremacy of religious belief is at the root of it all. Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
I'm going to cut the show short there because I really don't want to follow that up with anything funny. It's a tragic situation that's going on, and I really am praying for peace, and I hope everybody is looking for peace, not just for war. Thank you for watching What Happened News. Please give us your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your DMs, your follows, the stars, the hearts, everything. You know, we try to make this thing happen, baby. You know how this works.